Hello, everybody, and welcome to Stallions. If you've forgotten, my name is Brian, and with me, as always, is Jason.
Hello, everybody.
And we have had a bit of a hiatus. It's just been life in general, I think, would be the best answer. Would you say, Jason?
I would say so.
Yeah,
Life finds a way.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's catchy. Um, but we wanted to get together and just do a special podcast, mainly because we've had a lot of people actually request it, and that's really nice to hear. It's nice to be wanted, and it's great that you guys dig it. So we wanted to get one out there, and also kind of have a little bit of an introspective discussion on speaking of hiatuses, a TV show near and dear to our hearts, and that is Doctor Who. Big shock.
Yeah, it seemed like, as long as we were kind of circling to, let's get this engine up again. I think you kind of said, well, maybe we could just talk about where Doctor Who is at.
Yeah.
And I think we should, and I think we've always been very kind to it and very careful, and we're clearly people that grew up with it in different ways and love it, and take the good and take the bad. You take
And there you have
And there you have the Doctor Who.
the Doctor
So we've
Who.
always, I don't think we've ever been these, fans of anything that's is too precious. Like I always use the Bond films as an example, where I love the Bond movies, but I also know that they're very different. And when I say I love them, I don't mean I love every one of them. I mean that I love these ones over here, and this one's a great one, and ooh, that's good. I have an affection for all of them,
Mhm.
but I don't love them all equally. And so instead of having to clarify, I love Star Wars, but I don't love all of Star Wars. Like that's where kind of we are now, and now the time has moved on and things have gone off into different. It's easy to say I love An American Werewolf in London. You don't have to go, but not the one in Paris. You don't really.
You know what? I was just like, wasn't there a sequel to that? And it's like, yeah, and no one
Yeah,
cares.
you don't. Nobody cares. No one even remembers it.
No,
But
it's
it's
not
it's
like
it.
there was a Poltergeist remake. Did you remember that? Because
I
it comes
I
in
you
and
know
out
what?
for me.
I only remembered it seeing it streaming somewhere a couple weeks ago, and I went, "Wait, is that
Yeah,
the same clown?" I went, "Oh, they remade it. I forgot they remade it."
yeah,
So, with something that has, and I think it's um, to its testament, Doctor Who, that it was this thing that has lasted and has, beat the odds in many ways. But you know, it very much looks like it's going a different way now. Like we're probably gonna get a hiatus with it.
yeah,
And I thought it would be good because we haven't really talked about it much anyway, other than
yeah.
texting maybe with certain episodes and stuff. And
Well,
by
I gotta be
far,
honest with you. Like, I didn't want to bring it up on the show because I felt like it was just cannon fodder for the grift, the googly eyes and pointing out everything that they feel is an attack, and so I don't want to go
nah,
there. That's not us. And
no, we've never been that. We've never
yeah,
been that. A B.
yeah.
You've never put googly eyes on anything.
Well, that's
We
not true. I do have a past, but
from the time we first pushed the boat out on this, the
oh
whole
yeah,
idea way back in 1979 or whenever it was to talk about stuff we love.
yeah,
Yeah, we can take moments and go, that didn't do it for me, or like, oh, I didn't like it as much as you, or whatever.
yeah.
But it's
Hey, you
not
know what?
about
Let me
this.
let me explain something very personal to me. I've said it before on the show, and I'm sure you've heard it, but I think it really applies to this discussion, which is when Colin Baker came on Doctor Who, I hated it. Like it just the show. I toughed out Davison, and it was hit or miss. But with Baker, I felt like it just went, all right, we're just turning into a cartoon and an ugly cartoon. So I walked away and I got into other TV and movies. And
Right,
eventually I
like with
circled back,
Starlock.
like, well, yeah, yes, Starlost and Otherworld. Oh, yes, Otherworld. No, I felt I didn't feel like the show owed me anything. And I was also so aware because Doctor Who is the first show that really shows you that TV keeps changing, and so I was just like, well, hopefully there'll just be another Doctor and I'll like it more again. Like it really
Yeah.
wasn't I wasn't mad about it, I think. And that
No.
I'm rarely mad about it. It's like, all right, well, let's go watch something else.
You know why? But Brian, do you know why?
No, I don't anymore.
Because we were glad to get it.
Hmm.
We were glad to have it. And if
Yeah.
you got to a point where you suddenly went, I don't know if it's maybe it's something else now, and I'm going to kind of walk away and find something else. There was so little in the landscape, but we
Yeah.
found whatever it was and we tried it. There's so much out there now.
Yeah, I got
That's
really
why
into
we see
Blake 7 around that
viewers,
time.
viewers, and this is what gets me nuts about this is, you know, I mean, we don't need to go through the history of Doctor Who. I was going to have you start because technically you're older with Doctor Who because
November
saw it
1963. Oh, no, sorry.
you saw it before I did,
Yeah.
but we don't need to go through its history and everything. And I totally get the Colin Baker thing, and so you got the classic, and then you got the TV movie, and then it came back.
Yeah.
I think it's safe to say that it came back at the right time, and all it ever needed, which anybody in the know, if you ever had conversations about it prior to 2005 or ish, anybody in the know would sort of say was it's one of the greatest, if not the greatest, concepts in TV history. A character can go in a thing, and it can go in anywhere, time and space, and they can change the guy and whatever. All it needed was a budget. What part of what put a lot of people off much of the time was the not taking it seriously or the style of it. It had a cult. It had a big thing in the UK, then a cult thing in the US. Then the US thing got bigger in the early '80s, and by the time Colin Baker hit, it's really big in America. Where I'm kind of going, hey, it's about time.
Yeah.
But that's when the decline,
Yeah, well, 'cause
starts.
it was
We all
coasting
know what
in
happened.
on the Tom Baker reruns
Right.
and
So
and
I
the
was, so
yeah.
I was excited about the TV movie,
Hmm.
and I liked it. I even then sat down fully expecting it to be a disaster, and I liked it. And I thought, well, if this goes, it's the right time for it. It's Fox or whatever it was, maybe this thing. So we all know it didn't happen. So when it came back in
Did you
2005,
just assume a series would pop up immediately after? I did.
no, no, I kind of thought we'd get an announcement not long after. I felt
Oh,
like,
okay.
okay, that's like a made-for-TV movie. Let's see if we get a series. And after however long, and I was that's the point where I'm like, okay, I'm gonna pick up the magazine again. I hadn't,
Yep, me
picked up an
too.
issue of the magazine and
Yeah.
whenever, and I was like, oh my god, this is cool. And I knew
All
upon
of a
seeing
sudden,
Paul
I had a
McGann.
wall of BBC VHS.
I mean, seeing Paul McGann's face on the cover
Yeah.
for me was like, that's he was in With Mill and I, his
Mhm.
second, I think it's maybe his first film, one of the first things he did, and he means a lot to me for that. And oddly enough, later, right before the show comes back in 2005, Richard E. Grant
Yeah, they're both
does
Doctor
the
Who.
voice of the Doctor. So I love all that synchronicity. So seeing his face, I was like, oh my god, again, of all people to be doing this, this is great. So I was really getting excited for it, and then it happened, and I liked it. I knew it was just early days. Didn't happen. We get it in 2005, and it was the right time, but it needed someone, for better or worse. It needed someone like Russell T Davies at that time. At
Yeah.
that time. Now, I wouldn't say now. I would say at that time, it needed people that loved and cared for it, like Mark Gatiss and Russell T Davies and Moffat and those guys that knew why it was so great, to bring it to the world again and do it the right way. And this is the thing. What I always point out is, because when people, all this, it's this, it's that, it's gone back. I got to remind people, hey, we had farting aliens in the first season.
Hmm.
We had Russell T Davies wrote episodes with these aliens that farted on Doctor Who. We had wheelie bins that swallowed people and then burped. You know,
Uh,
it was never perfect.
oh
It
no, I
had
actually went around and rewatched I'd say probably 2 dozen from the RTD era recently. And yeah, there's good and bad with it. But we were able to look past it because the show brought us more than that.
and I think that absolutely, but I also think that what what's interesting about Doctor Who as a show, as a concept, the Doctor as a character is, even with crap, and I mean bad crap, like shit, going on around the character or a bad script or a bad story, you're mainly focused on the Doctor. So, in other words, if you're not really feeling it with Colin Baker, well, even if those scripts are all, like the first 3 seasons of Tom Baker, 2.5 seasons of Tom Baker, even if their scripts are that good, if he's not working for you, and whatever that rhythm is, you're kind of in trouble. But most likely, if you're not digging the central performance and the writing and everything else, that's trouble. So I could stomach that stuff in 2005 because I had Christopher Eccleston as the Doctor.
Yeah.
Like I mean, who ever thought that? It was incredible, and you're looking at one episode is more than a whole season of the budget of the original show. This incredible thing kind of happened, and then
And
it
even then it was kind of a cheap show.
was
Yeah.
well, as we all know that now that Eccleston, and I say kudos to Eccleston, as a gentleman, he kept his mouth shut for like 17, 18 years, and then finally kind of had enough and decided to tell the story of why he left the show. And I believe him. I believe him 100%. And especially what they did with the press release, making up a quote kind of thing. I think that was really vicious. And but as he says now, it's like it was a mess. It was a nightmare. It was, and nobody knew what they were doing, and the BBC thought it was going to fail, and it was that kind of thing. And then what do they say? Failure's an orphan, and success has
Yeah.
many fathers or
Yeah,
whatever.
many fathers.
Yeah. So that the shock of it coming back, and then like literally 2 days after the episode aired, reading, oh, he's leaving, was like, oh, is this a British thing again, where they only do like 6 episodes of a show or something? And then I remember Tenet getting announced, and I had just seen him in what is it called, Bright Young Things or Pretty Young Things or
Oh, okay. I don't
um,
know that one.
yeah, I had just seen him in a small role in that, and then I found Casanova and watched that. So I was kind of ready for maybe what he was going to be like. But okay, so it really starts to peak with him. It's really taken off. Matt Smith, it's massive, and it becomes this cultural thing again. It becomes I mean, wouldn't you say arguably much bigger culturally in the UK than the original even was? I mean, again, it's apples and oranges because it was a different landscape back then. It's not like he was fighting for airtime with a lot of other shows like
Well,
it. He kind
yeah,
of was the
it's weird because you can't ignore that, like, that's nostalgia. Your mom and your dad watched Doctor Who. Your grandfather watched Doctor Who, so is it like I do think it was culturally bigger, but is it based on the merits of the entire show or also its cultural impact on the UK?
yeah. No, it's a good question because we know all the merchandise that was made in the 70s. I mean, the
Hmm.
60s had that burst, but let's just say the 70s and 80s or whatever. And
Well, it
you kind
definitely
of,
was it was like the BBC supported it now.
you
As
mean now
opposed
with in 2000,
Yeah,
2005?
yeah, yeah. It
Yeah. Oh yeah.
actually
Yeah.
it was not the Saturday afternoon show any it was, but it was the big deal now,
Right.
as
Right.
opposed
They,
to the way they treated it earlier.
yeah. No, they caught on that the climate had changed, things getting merchandise, things, uh, uh, you know, franchises like X Files or whatever, all the other Paramount Star Trek ones or whatever. they wanted, some of that, and
And you know what? It wasn't a sex scandal they had to bury.
yeah, yeah, they're not exactly batting 1,000 with the. I mean, there's an episode of Inside Number Nine,
Oh, yeah.
Robert of Reese Shearsmith and Steve Pemberton. They're a comedy duo from the '80s that come back for a reunion. One has moved on, one is kind of fallen on hard times, and every bit they try to do is well, we can't do this one anymore,
Yeah.
and it's like politically incorrect, or it's got racial stereotypes or whatever, but they got a couple of names and a few sketches, and every one we can't mention him. Why? Project U Tree. Oh yeah, we can't use him. And every one, the joke was every celeb they kind of referenced in these '80s sketches was in the middle of an investigation. They were digging into all
Canceled.
the
Yeah. Yeah.
So you guys like you and I were very excited by it, and it was like never thought this was going to happen. I mean, in fact, we started talking pretty early after it had been going again. I mean, probably by 2007 or eight or
Yeah, I'd say
something like that.
2007. Yeah. And I mean, that's one of
Yeah.
the things that like I could never be mad at Doctor Who because it's brought me to so many places in my life, and friends
Oh
and
yeah.
that sort of thing. Like, no, that got me out of the
No,
house. And
I'm not. I'm not. I'm not.
yeah.
I wouldn't even use the word mad so much as disappointed.
Yeah.
Not in Doctor Who, in
No.
how it's handled. So just like
Yeah.
you get excited for a thing and then you see it and you go, what were they thinking? And once in a while there's something that catches on 10 years later or whatever, and but
Like Dimensions in Time.
like Dimensions in Time. But some of these things, what irritates me is some of these legacy things. You should be able to get handed this, and if it's half as good as the best stuff on TV or a third as good, it should not be complicated.
Yeah.
You should not be able to screw it up that badly because so many of the tracks had been laid before you. All things need to evolve. There's nothing wrong with, that was kind of a different one. It wasn't much an assignment. He was on his own or whatever. That's, but the sort of, blueprint of what the thing is kind of has to remain. Otherwise, you might as well make something completely different. It doesn't. Now you're, and that's what starts to happen with a lot of this legacy stuff, and it's biting everybody in the butt, kind of. But I think you and I started to kind of notice the fatigue, or that something was kind of going wrong when a guy that we really love, and I would, I rate as probably my second favorite doctor is Peter Capaldi.
Oh yeah.
When he just, and again, I could watch him, the central performance, and still eat it up and enjoy it to a degree. But I knew when it was done, I think, boy, they are not serving him well. You've got a Ferrari on camera. I mean, you got this guy, and you're giving him these kinds of scripts, and that was irritating to me. But he made everything sing, so it was okay. But wouldn't you say that that's kind of where the start of? I mean, again, taking away the fact that there were ups and downs.
Well,
With
I actually think Capaldi was like he started in a nosedive and then crawled up, in my personal opinion. Like that, I did not like his first season, but
Oh, okay,
I liked
okay.
his second season better. And by his third season, I actually was a big fan of that season. I felt that was a great finish. Um,
Is that the
and
one with Bill?
Missy and Bill, yeah, I know like
Oh,
people are,
some of those are really good. Some of those
yeah,
are really good. Yeah,
and I
yeah.
felt that he ended on a high note. I think it's weird, like people don't talk about this enough, but like he wants nothing to do with the show anymore.
No,
And
nope.
he's just doing the classy, oh no, I'm gone, and it's like, yeah, there's probably something there. Um, but yeah, I did
Well,
kind of feel he was well served, and
I think you're right about that.
yeah,
I think you might be right about that because he's been very definitive about it. Again, he's never said a bad word, He
Nope.
has talked about, he's loved that thing since he was a kid and talked about it was the dream job of his life and everything. And when I met him for 30 seconds, we had the same little conversation. For a guy like that to think, that's never going to happen, A. B, it comes back, oh my God. C, I'm never going to be in it. What's the point? He gets to be in it. And then, of course, thinking, well, now that I've been in it, I'll never be it. And the wheel to come around. I'll bet you he was kind of miffed at how they handled him, how they handled some of the scripts. And, I think maybe I'm wrong. I feel like he would have done one more season. I feel like he was pushed out a little early.
I do
I
too.
don't have any confirmation. I have no confirmation, but I think that's kind of what they did. And that pisses me off. That gets me upset because what happens is, whether it's, that situation or Timothy Dalton as Bond or whatever, for years it's like, well, that one didn't really work, and that's where it started to go get to him, and it's like, no, that's not what happened. And then, I watched, time move on, and the last couple of years, I mean, maybe you've seen it too. I see all this Capaldi love in videos and
Oh yeah.
tweets and
Oh
things.
yeah.
They're like, oh my God, what happened? All of a sudden people are going, you know what? This was the best guy and whatever. So they shouldn't have done that if that's what they did. And then, they did the thing that we've always talked about that we knew they were going to do.
Yeah.
And again, I went with it. I watched every second of it. And if those scripts had been, Tony Gilroy, or whoever had come in as a showrunner, I would have gone, oh man, they're doing something different. I don't know what it is. I didn't like the idea, but boy, is it really, it's nothing to do with her or whatever. It had to do with Chibnall and where that thing went. And I mean, for me, where it went, and you might know some of these titles better than me, but when that other master came in and the whole reboot of, no, you're not a Time Lord, you're really a vegetable or whatever.
Yeah, the total timeless child thing. Yeah.
I thought it's never going to get worse than that. And then it went and did it. And it went and did it week
well,
after week after week.
well, it's weird. I was very hopeful like I always, I liked the idea of a female doctor, and I was like, well, I'll, again, it's a show and it's an era of a show. So, I'm not terribly worried about coming in and out, but I was in for it, and it was just so derivative of the early Davison era, where you just have like this full Tardis and a really deep-Howard doctor, kind of
A really,
vulnerable.
sorry. A really what, doctor? What did you say?
Depowered, like
Oh,
I
depowered. Yeah,
yeah, like
yeah,
how like Tom Baker was getting to be too much of a Superman, so Nathan Turner
yeah.
wanted to, make him more vulnerable. And then, by the time we get to Davison's character is, completely a different animal. He's not as he's just not the same doctor. And
No.
I felt like they were doing that with Jodie Whittaker, which I thought was odd, because like that's not really where I would have gone with it. I would have gone with possibly more alien, or just it didn't make a lot of sense to me. And
Well, I'm glad you before I forget, when you said the Davison era and the full TARDIS kind of thing. I think
yeah,
we need to pause, rewind just for 1 second, because one of the things that I think has been, good and bad, not ruining the show or anything like that, but a thing that sort of got on my nerves very quickly, and continued throughout its life, was the emphasis it placed on the companion, on the friend.
yeah,
And
I knew this about you, but do
it
tell.
was, it becomes very soap opera, and you go, oh, maybe that's because is that where he's coming from? Is that the idea? And um, uh, it's a device. We don't really need to know too much about the person, but I mean, I think it worked with Rose for the most part. That was not a bad idea. She was terrific. but I didn't need to hang out with the mom and the boyfriend and the this and the this.
No, but
And
I watched recently. I watched a 2.5 hour video about somebody in defense of the Davison era, and I thought, you know what, I want to hear their arguments. And some of their arguments were very good, and one of them really was about how, hey, the companions in that era were interesting and had their own little arcs, and that is groundbreaking then, not now. Um,
yeah. I
yeah,
mean, Tegan certainly did. Tegan
yeah.
had. I mean, I don't know about Nissa or Flippin' Adric
Well,
and Thurlow,
Turlo had his whole thing going on.
but that was just a dumb idea from the beginning, where you're like, where are you going to go with this? Like
The
it
disappointment
wasn't.
town.
Yeah, it just wasn't thought through.
Yeah,
They
that
didn't
that
really.
actually was one of my when I was a teenager, one of my like, what the hell was the point of any of that?
Yeah, they didn't think it through.
No,
They didn't go, let's bring him in here, and then what'll happen is by the end of the second season that he's in, we're going to find out, it's Megla or whatever.
I did kind of love it in Rose because they were grounding the show for a new audience and giving,
No,
like,
no, Rose
yeah,
is great.
yeah,
Actually, I would even defend it. I would even defend it to the point of, I think it was probably necessary at the time.
yeah.
It was necessary to have some emphasis and have the everyman, be there on these adventures with this guy that you had to assume a significant chunk of your viewership would be aware of and know the show or familiar, but there were a lot of people that it was not a familiar thing, and you're trying to introduce it to people too. So I think that was a good device. It just got a little, with little the gags and the mom and stuff like that. And then Martha, who I loved Martha. Um,
Who gets the
Her family
shaft?
didn't
He
like.
just gets the damn shaft in the series.
She gets completely ignored, and got to spend time with her family too. It's like, I don't care. Why do I care about these people?
Her mother's
And
eyebrows
then
terrified me.
because she was always looked like she was always judging and
Yeah.
angry.
Oh yeah.
And then we got Matt Smith, and we got, I'm sorry, what am I saying? We got Donna Noble, that was like, okay, you're signaling where this is going by
Hey, but we got
casting,
Bernard Cribbins out of that.
which was great, which
Yeah.
was great.
Yeah.
But maybe not like 4 or 5 episodes in a row. Maybe just like, let's have them here and there and go.
Hey, it's deep to film here.
So it did, but you'd have to admit, in every era of the return with every Doctor, we get a shit ton of time spent with the companion and their family and their problems and their trauma. And then when you get to Jodie, you've got 17 people in the TARDIS. They've all got trauma. They're all either not getting along, or somebody died, or someone's going to die, or someone hopes they're going to die, or
I think
like,
for me
what
in
am I
Jodie,
watching anymore?
oh yeah, in Jodie's first season, what really bothered me is I wanted to get to know this Doctor. If there was ever uh, a season where they had to really like have the Doctor go through a character arc, it should be the the season where it's the Doctors change genders. Like I
But
just
let me tell you why that would be a headache. And I guarantee I'll bet you anything they played with it. I'll bet you anything
they should have
they
played with
kind
it longer because it's easy to do.
no. But the problem is, you start. It's like giving James Bond a kid and killing him. The fourth Daniel Craig. Spoiler alert, everybody.
I haven't seen
He's
that
got
one.
a kid. He's got a kid he didn't know about, little toddler that he really kind of thinks is terrific. Oh, it's mine. It's mine. I can't remember what the sex of the kid was. It meant so nothing to me, and he dies at the end. Now, there's a franchise that was able to, not have to explain when a new actor came in, and not really have to be tied to any kind of mythology. So you might get a mention that he was married once, but you're like, when you just mention it, that wasn't Timothy Dalton, that was George Lazenby. Yeah, but it's the same. Yeah, but it was 20 some years ago. Yeah, but it's the same character. It didn't really matter because it didn't complicate itself. Well, now, and so when you got Casino Royale with Daniel Craig, everyone knows it's a new Bond. It's his first assignment. Okay, it's like a soft reboot. That's what you're kind of doing. It's still Bond, but now we're going to kind of reboot slightly to see him evolve over the course of however many he's going to end up doing. He only ends up doing 4. Now you got to reboot again. Just like you know, it gets complicated. So if they spent too much time with Jodie talking about, gosh, I don't have the bits. I wonder what this is different because I was treated like this instead of like this, or I was thinking this way instead of this, or I was whatever. I think it starts to get complicated, and it's like, okay, well, why didn't we have, it should be the personality thing, because that's the thing with the guy changing, every time. It's the same person in principle, but they handle things differently. And if you go too far with like, well, now I've got a blah blah brain or whatever, like I just think it would have gotten, because I'll bet you anything they wanted that, or they somebody pushed for it and said, well, now's an opportunity to, you know, throw a baseball. No, I'm kidding. I'm
Yeah.
kidding. Or whatever. Whatever.
I just don't think you can't not address it. And they didn't. And for better or for worse, and maybe I'm wrong, but I just thought that would be I would have used this as an opportunity to cheer this character on. And
I mean, she did a few times. She did. There were times where she'd give a verbal
Graham.
reply or notice,
Yeah, no, but what I
and
mean is at the end of that season, Graham has the hero's journey. He's about to
right,
kill
right.
Tim Shaw, and then he grants him mercy, and it's a nice moment, but it's like, wait, Graham's not the doctor. And the doctor felt a little more like the conductor, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. I'd say that. And also, I'd like to point out, not that it matters. I understand when Eccleston came in with a northern accent, it's already something different. You had a Scottish one with Sylvester McCoy, but he kind of sounded similar, throughout the lifetime
I thought
of the
they
show. Well,
handled
now
that so awesomely, though.
so yeah, it was boom, boom, done.
Yeah.
Comment done. Then you get Tennant, who's Scottish, but wants to do a British accent, and then does like a Dick Van Dyke almost. Like
Mhm.
sometimes he's so, oh my god, he's so broad with it. But for the most part, really, I mean, I'm trying to think. Really, most of there's not been a posh companion with what you'd call an upper crust British accent.
Mm.
Um, I don't think since the show came back. They all have a similar vernacular and rhythm to the voice and the accent, which would stereotypically be called working class, accent, like a Brooklyn accent, or if everybody talked like this in every show, that guy. Well, the same thing with
If
Doctor
Gary
Who,
Marshall ruled the world, they all would.
right?
Yeah.
And they are. Rose has kind of a Cockney accent, and the mom does, and Martha kind of did, and Donna Noble sure did, and Bill did. And now Amy was Scottish, so she didn't, but she talked a mile a minute, Rory, I guess Rory might be the posh one. Rory would be the one that had like sort of a little more clipped British accent, sort of. But there's something about that started to irritate me too. Like, why are we doing this again? And then you get it with Shuki Gatwa's first companion, whose name I suddenly forgot. Same
Hey,
thing.
Sunday.
Oh, doctor. Oh, doctor. And it's like, what? It's
My
Rob
son and I
Andrews.
called her Clara because she was like Rose and Clara, like
Yeah, she is.
it was just like, yeah, it's not that I disliked her, but and we can get into this, but she's familiar. Like it's all kind of
I
that's
just kept
familiar.
looking at her thinking, she's like a child. It seems like she's like 16 years old, is what it seemed to me. And I had to look her up, and I think she's maybe 21 or 22 or something. But she just looks like a kid almost. And like, why are you hanging out with this guy? Um, so
She did look very young, but I wasn't sure
Very young.
if it's just like I'm getting older, you know.
No, she's very young. And I thought, well, if that's, I mean, is she in college or is she going to university? Is she what's her thing? Like, and then the very first episode with her, I'm looking for my mother. I never met her, and oh my God, is this about you? So anyway, before we get there, where do you kind of think things? We were talking just prior to recording, so we weren't incriminated. The things that we've noticed, or the reason we think it's lost so much viewership, and it's going away. And you can, if you want
I
to
actually
know,
don't know viewing figures at all.
I
Um,
do.
oh,
I mean, I
okay,
don't
yeah,
know on
no, I
this.
don't. I that's not anything I care about. I
Well, but hold
just
on, but hold on though. Hold on though. Just a sec. No, I think you should, because the bulk of that audience, the Doctor Who audience, all these years, are the loyal fans that have loved it most of their lives.
sure.
They're the ones that are buying all the DVDs, that are buying all the toys, that have bought all the VHS and even some of the laser discs and all the books, and bought all the the Virgin novels that were written in between things and whatever. That is the bulk of your fan base. Are the people that have loved it from the beginning, or whenever they were young in the 80s or 70s or whatever it was.
Well, yeah, but now, to be fair though, like I'm watching tons of videos by people that were like 10 in 2005 and
Yes,
are now like huge Doctor Who fans, and so it's done its job.
there's a percentage, but it's not. I mean, it's like
I think it's pretty big.
Alex. It's not nearly as big as you think. That the new fans that came in 2005 are the ones that put it over the top. The addition of them helped immeasurably, but the people, when that thing blew up, when it came back, it was, everybody knew this show. It was the perfect time, because even if you'd only seen a bit of it or a few of them, everybody was pumped for this. I mean, it exploded when it showed up. That wasn't from, hey, I wonder what this thing is. So I'm saying that you're still, and so as the ratings, and there is a way. I mean, there's a couple of guys that do this podcast in England, in a show, and they've been analyzing the ratings, and it gets really really into the weeds. You can see how badly it's gone the last 3 or 4 years, and
Yeah.
I can tell you, just from my angle, when I go to look at Disney Plus for a new episode, and it's at the bottom of the page, or it's not even in the top, when you go flink, flink, and you flip past these banners up top of like
It
12
might
things.
actually trend better in Canada because I can always find it. But that
No,
just maybe
it was
because
really tough.
that might just be because I'm in Toronto, and we have a long history with Doctor Who in Canada. Um,
That could
but
be. But I
you
mean,
know,
it didn't, even when it kind of relaunched, I didn't see any billboards in LA. I saw a shit ton for Capaldi and for Matt Smith, and lots of attention. It just, even that was just starting to kind of, the attention was changing too. Something was kind of changing, but it I think that the bulk of the older fan that's loved it forever and has everything and was always going to support it. I mean, all these videos. Forget the people we think are douchebags. We know who they are. But I'm watching stuff with people that continue to watch it. Like, if they were so offended about how bad they thought it was, they would have given up years ago. But they continue to watch it because they want it to be good. And when it is, or when it has moments, they'll say, no, I thought this one was actually quite good. This was different because it was like this or whatever. So even they're still supporting it,
mhm.
but I think that
I
that
watched every
uh,
episode of the last two seasons, and I looked forward to them.
well, I
And
got you on the first. I got you on the first half of that statement, but not the second half.
well, no, I mean, I'm just I did look forward to them. I hoped they were going to be good. Like, I don't go in
Well,
like,
in that
see how
sense, yeah.
crappy this is. No, I wouldn't
Like, there's,
turn
that
something
moment
on.
in I don't know which the one, I forgot the name. I don't remember the name of the one that's kind of a sequel to Twilight, sort of.
Oh,
Remember that one where
midnight.
there's like a
Yeah, I was thinking
midnight,
Twilight. Yeah.
midnight. Sorry, not
That's
Twilight.
the other
Sorry, I'm thinking.
podcast I do.
I'm
Um,
always thinking about vampires. So
Team
midnight,
Edward.
right?
Yeah.
So like that started to go in a different direction. I went, oh, okay, all right, here we go. So yeah, no, it had moments like that,
Yeah.
but anyway, so well, to that, I'll just roll the ball first. I do think, and now I saw it this week with an interview with Mark Gatiss, certainly with RTD and everything he said every time he answered a question, however genteel, however middle of the road, or what would you think? What if this happens? Or what if this? And these interviewers and all the whatever press it got, Gatwa. I've never seen, and then in the actual writing, especially of this season, you got to a point where you're going, well, you don't want me to watch this. I've never seen a product go out of its way harder to alienate a loyal fan base that has loved this thing for decades than what this show did, and how they handled it, how they responded to things, and then the narrative kind of started. And I think that put a ton of people off. And I think it's very similar to a certain Star Wars movie that I won't name, that whether you like it or love it or hate it, you can't deny there's a fulcrum thing there. There's just like the prequels and the divide that happened after that because of how they, people reacted to
See
them.
that movie, and I won't name it. I'm sorry.
Don't name it.
Is
Don't do
when
it.
I realized I'm not really a big Star Wars fan, because I was like, it's all right, and I moved on, and everyone
Well,
else
that's
I
well, that's
know
the there
loved
you go.
it
No,
or
but that's
lost their
perfect.
minds. You know?
But that's perfect though. But that's perfect. You
Yeah,
you started you started with that's when I knew I wasn't really a big Star Wars fan.
yeah,
So
yeah.
it was
Like
made
I just
it was
doesn't.
made for
Yeah.
people that don't really know Star Wars, and it basically
Oh, no, I will say to you, sir, I'm no layman.
no, you're
And
not a I know that.
my
Nobody's a
son
layman
is
for Star
obsessed
Wars.
with
But
Star Wars. I know who
I've done enough of these episodes with you to know exactly how you feel about Star Wars. I know you don't hate it.
feel and know are different things. But yeah,
I know where you stand on Star Wars. What I'm saying is that's the perfect that's the perfect statement, which is it was made and there were definitive things in it. Again, let's just let go of the lunatics. Let's just we should be able to talk about this without having to worry we think that we sound like or something. That's not what we're doing.
no, I don't want to go
There are literally dozens of things in that are specifically there to kind of go, and
I think I will share with you, and I don't know how I know how we got here. Um, I don't think it actually, it suffers from trying to change your expectations too much. Divert your expectations.
that's a great
It's
100%,
to the point
100%.
of a being a weakness. Like, okay, I get it, and um, I'm not
That's a
like
great
Luke
that's a great
tossing that
analogy.
lightsaber was not offensive to me. That's like a story. Like, why did he toss that lightsaber?
No. Hold on.
Yeah.
I don't want to do this. I
Oh
don't
yeah,
want to
yeah,
hit
yeah,
that
yeah, yeah,
lightsaber.
yeah, yeah. Okay.
Because if you say at the start that's not offensive to you, then I
Yeah.
know where you stand on those films and those characters. Anybody that loves them and has loved them for decades
I've
says
loved
the
them.
exact same says the exact same thing. It's the needle came off the record. It is a moment where a needle comes off the record. And again, I'm not going to go blow by blow. I can just tell you that I saw it by myself and called my friend afterwards who had seen it the night before or something or whatever. And I kind of was standing in the lobby going, huh, yeah, okay, huh. I didn't know how, I was so flabbergasted by what I was seeing that it kind of wasn't adding up to me. And my friend called me and he said, did you see it? And I said, yeah, I did. And he goes, well, what did you think? And I said, I think I need to see it again, I guess. He goes, okay, I think I do too. And we made plans to see it again. And that's how long it took to kind of sink in what this thing was doing. And, it's not like I went home and put everything into a bucket and burned it or something. Of course not. But there's no denying that there was a glacial shift after that happened, and it's never really recovered from and that's not just a handful of angry, right leaning,
No, but I
misogynist,
get you. But
whatever.
I also want to point out that like they haven't, when they put out something of quality like The Mandalorian, we're all in agreement. Um,
Yeah,
and
but
and
but
then
I could name three other shows. I could name three of the other shows they've done where people would you go, I thought that was great, and they go, I hated it,
yeah,
awful.
but I
Some
mean,
of
we
them,
didn't we didn't pick every comic off the rack. Nobody wanted to read, Little Dot. Um,
no, but you're right. Mandalorian came along, and suddenly it was giving you a rhythm, a vibe. There's a reason that it blew up the way that it did,
yeah,
and everybody was calm and agreement because it felt like
Star
Star Wars.
Wars.
That's
Yeah,
the point.
they got it,
That's
and then
that.
they carried that over to the Amazing Book of Boba
See now, do
But
I
again,
hate that?
I thought it was kind of rough and
No, I just go. God, you guys have been literally talking about doing something with this character that had five seconds of screen time in the movies and the animated thing and whatever. You have been talking about. You've elevated this character to
like
A-list status.
you're
You've been
gonna only
talking
gonna
about doing
disappoint
something with
people.
him
Yeah.
for years and years, and this is what you did. This is what you ended up giving everybody. That's from. It's not like, oh my God, I can't. Like, I gotta go howl at the moon. It's like that's like this. There's no excuse for this. There's no excuse.
My
That
favorite
this is
part of
what you
that
give.
show
So
was
let's.
like they had to do all that callback stuff too. Oh, it's a Rancor, and oh, look, it's this guy, and it's like, oh, come on,
Oh yeah. Well,
you
look at
don't,
the. Remember the two the Gamorrean guards, the pig faced guards.
yeah,
I mean, okay, that's cool, but they're just kind of fat guys painted green now
yeah,
instead of putting
they
like
don't actually. It's weird when I also felt that way about the Emperor's makeup, like in the third, was it Revenge of the Sith? It didn't look as good as it did in Return of the Jedi.
no, but but hold on. Yeah, I
Yeah,
would have to go back and look at it. But I'm talking about a rubber suit that made them look like an alien body with big old arms and the big
yeah. No,
whatever,
I remember the original Gormorant guards, and they
like a
looked,
big Muppet. Now
yeah,
it's
but
like we
they
don't
were
have time. Just
convincing looking.
slap some green paint on a guy,
Yeah,
and that'll be just as good, if not better. And you go, it looks like guys walking around Comic Con. They grabbed a mask and they painted each other green, and they look ridiculous. But anyway, let's get back to Doctor Who.
Doctor.
The point is, I would say in both, again, if you like the things I'm talking about, God bless you. But you can't deny where these sort of shifts start to happen and what the sort of fallout is. And I think it was a combination of maybe a little bit of fatigue by the time Capaldi was
Yeah.
kind of wrapping up. A little bit of it wasn't going to have the ratings it did at its height.
No.
Matt Smith. I'm sure that some people left because it went from 30-year-old heartthrob to character face, gray
Oh
hair, and
yeah,
gotten older.
it's strange that the most traditional of the new doctors wasn't as welcome as a young handsome
Yeah,
guy which he'd really never been until I guess Davison. Um,
and to be fair too, if I was bringing him into it, not only would I give him fried gold script every week for every show, and although I do like this aspect of the Capaldi Doctor, they also made him grumpy,
yeah,
not a hugger,
yeah, I like
very kind
that.
of
I
cold.
like that a
I
lot.
like I liked it too.
Yeah,
I liked it too. But I think people went, oh, so he's older and he's grumpy.
yeah.
Maybe he goes to
And
bed early.
well, for me, what the thing was is it finally killed any romantic the assistant doctor thing, which is something RTD introduced, and I understood it, and I never liked it. I never liked it. but
Okay.
I accepted it because he would be fond for these people, and the doctor in this is not an older father figure, but more of a handsome young man, and there was some validity to it. But I liked in Capaldi. What's that?
I was just saying that's a really good way to put it. What you just
Yeah,
said, you're like,
yeah,
I didn't like it, but I accepted it. So
yeah,
for me, if you had told me ahead of time this new Rose character, he's going to start to fall in love with the Doctor. Even that, I might go, ee. And
yeah,
then if it was going to be reciprocated, I would have said that's a terrible. Like, no, 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 they shouldn't do that.
yeah,
But as it was happening organically, I just kind of accepted it.
yeah.
I just sort of, I didn't hate, I
You
didn't
could
hate
also
it.
you could also
I
argue
didn't
that
love it.
like between the ninth and tenth Doctor, you are getting a progression of him being a complete loner, and then she kind of energizes his faith in humanity, and so there's also that going on. There was a lot going on in those.
Well,
Par-
the beauty of of how Matt Smith played it,
oh yeah,
you know, looking back to Troughton. I mean, Troughton was his big inspiration, but he played it kind of like a 900-year-old guy stuck in
oh
this
yeah,
younger man's body,
oh yeah. He
and it was
he he's
he
one
wasn't
of
trying to
my
be cool like
favorite.
Tennant,
He was one of my like, oh my God, he just out of the box
100%.
has this
I next to
energy.
Tom Baker,
Yeah.
I don't think anybody has hit the ground running from that very first episode with little young Amy Pond in the kitchen, and then coming back when she's older and everything.
Yeah.
He just kind of owned it from frame one, and I'm like, I don't know who this guy is, but he's amazing. Like
Yeah.
this, and I think he got better. I never felt a false. Tennant started to do that whole, oh my, that's a refrigerator. I love refrigerators. Me, oh, they're great. Oh, I love a fridge. In
Yeah.
every scene. Matt Smith, he seems to be uh, on the level throughout. Like when he got angry, you bought it. When he was sad, you bought it. When he was elated, you bought it. It all kind of worked. And so that him playing it as like an older person in this body made it work even better to me. With
Yeah.
Capaldi, they decided, well, we got to go the other way. So I think that maybe put some people off too. And then the overall script. So maybe it was starting to kind of,
Yeah. I
build
like
even.
I said, I really enjoyed the Capaldi era. It not the beginning, but more towards the end. I thought it was, they wouldn't be giving all these little speech videos on YouTube if it didn't have some good writing. And
Oh, no, 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 no.
yeah.
Again, to
Yeah.
be clear, when his stuff worked, it was fantastic.
Yeah.
But there were some where I'd go like, okay, that, again, and
I've
part of
been
it
I've
was,
been going through some of them, and it's still like I don't know, like there's just some I can't rewatch. The one where he's the janitor, oh, that can just disappear.
oh, the janitor one, the one with David Suchet, who is a wonderful actor, but the haunted house one where Bill and all her friends, and of course Bill is like, "So what are you? So you're a time lord, and this is a spaceship, and we're in another dimension, and what big deal? Gotta go meet my friend." Like this notion of just like whatever,
I've
it's just
forgotten
like
that, but I
so
don't.
many people,
Yeah,
and then she wants to hang out with her friends, and it's like, hey, old man, can you piss off while we hang out? But he's thinking there's a haunted house. I just didn't like that. Anything that kind of pokes too much of a pin in it or does that. Like that, this doesn't make me nuts, but I just went, this is the kind of thing. Remember that one with, is it the doctor's wife? Um, is that the one with your buddy? You're the one written by your buddy Neil Gaiman? I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. You're not
oh
friends.
my,
I'm
no.
kidding. I know you. I know you're not friends. Maybe it's that one, the doctor's wife or whatever. Or no, no, it's a different one. River Song's in the TARDIS, and she's doing the controls,
Oh
and
yeah,
they
no,
look
that's
more
the Angels one. That's the two-parter.
okay.
And
And the
that's
poor
actually
woman
yeah, yeah, and
doesn't happen,
you leave the
and
parking
she says,
brake on. Yeah.
"You leave the," and I just go, "Oh, come on, man,
You
that's not
know,
everything a piss take." You know, it
well, Moffat was a comedy writer, and
well, Gee, was he? Was he? It was hard to tell with all the asides and the about being Scottish or about people's hair or their tummies or whatever. Yeah, but what I'm saying is, do you think that Jodie was kind of not set up because she didn't fail? She did not fail.
No,
But do you
she
feel
did
like
not fail.
that people were kind of abandoning ship prior to her showing up? Is what I mean.
Yeah, I think she inherited a property that wasn't really being promoted the way it should be. Um, and it was kind of on like I looked forward to it every week during that season. I loved that season, especially the end with the Cybermen and that
Wait,
story.
which
And
sorry,
the
the
Capaldi's last season was a lot of fun.
oh yeah. Oh,
And,
is that because Bill was the one with those big like devil creature what was like the he loses his sight
oh yeah, but
and
those were that was the monks, but then the 10th Planet
monk.
kind of remake was a
Yeah.
really
Oh
nice
yeah.
ending for Capaldi. I enjoyed it. I really was satisfied, and I kind of personally, I think even you and I were texting, and I said, well, they've thrown the kitchen sink at this now. It's time to like stop going into the past and make some new stuff. And it's good to have a female doctor because it's going to be all new. And they did that, but then they were like, well, let's fire the music guy and let's make the sets weird and let's never hire an experienced Doctor Who writer. And it was like, whoa, like make something at least people can recognize just a little bit,
Yeah.
but they
Yeah.
really went out there and one of my biggest problems with the show was the music. It would often like go over the dialogue, and it was this kind of like whoa um
I
kind of
mean, I it's
music.
funny you say it. Like I noticed the change,
Yeah.
but when it came back, when Russell T Davies came back and he brought Murray Gold back, I've never seen I've never heard music more intrusive and loud and plastic sounding. Like,
I
did
think
Murray Gold die? Did he die? And they're just taking samples and
well, yeah,
throwing them in
but
a
like
blender? Like,
maybe Russell T Davies came back and we can talk about how that's changed too. But I think that and I really wanted it to be great. And in that first season, I just, the episodes that really bothered me were one where the doctor is just basically chasing the Noid around. It's just this
this is
cartoon
Jody. This
monster,
is
Jody, yeah. And it's
annoying.
like, and yeah, like it was like a gremlin or something, and it was a hospital ship, and everyone else had something to do, but the doctor, and it was just sort of like, where are we going with this? Like, and
Was that the one where like the guy was pregnant and there was
yeah,
like
yeah,
that
yeah. Like everybody
showed up?
else had an interesting thing to do, and the main character is just sort of like, oh, I'm in the background, and I don't know if that's like the classic, like, well, Jodie Whittaker needed to be somewhere else that week, or, but it just seems strange for a new doctor to be, kind of absent in her episode, and uh, I was like, they were trying to do new things like historicals again, and I liked the idea of historicals again. Uh, the one about the Indian Pakistan dispute. I, I've never seen a Doctor Who set there. That's like interesting to me, and that episode kind of landed for me. But then, they do an episode like Rosa, and it's just
Oh my god!
they just
I feel
didn't have.
my butt clenching
Yeah,
when
well,
you're
no, I
talking
don't
about
like. I just want to go at it from like, first of all, there's all the characters are going out and doing something. It's what 47 minutes,
yeah.
and you have you have so much development that when they get to the villain, it's a guy in a leather jacket who's like a future racist, and you're just
The guy
like,
with
well,
the teeth, like the teeth on his face.
yeah, I think so, and
Yeah.
he, but like they give him nothing, and it's like, well, what was the anyway? I just I found that episode like a good idea that wasn't executed well. Like I knew immediately they were going to take all the seats on the bus. Like I with that's how this is going to end. But it also
Well,
had like that
yeah.
that Voyager's plot of like it might not happen, and it's like we don't do this on Doctor Who very often, you know.
Well, that's a great little aside, and
Yeah,
I would add to it. There were some things that would happen, and like how you're watching a thing, um, you know, uh, I'm trying to think of something.
the thing.
Like I don't know if you've watched any of the show Slow Horses with Gary Oldman and the ragtag team of shitty spies. Um,
No, I've never
like
heard of that.
like it's great. It's on Apple Plus, and it's the best thing, just about the best thing Oldman's ever done. He's terrific. He's a total slob, but he's in charge. And but it's got a rhythm to it where you kind of go, well, maybe one of the secondary or main characters might die at some point this season, but I kind of know where we're going to be by the end of it. I know that the whole team isn't going to get wiped out or whatever. You're pretty good with the rhythm, and then sometimes you watch things and you go, this is going to be a dream. Just wait. We're gonna get to the last third, and in great Russell T Davies style, the entire universe is going to die and get
Yeah.
turned to dust
Oh yeah.
by the end. So there were things in both her run and Gatwa's that even now I was trying to give the benefit of the doubt and go, they're going to turn this around in the last third. And the things that were ridiculous earlier in the episode, it's going to turn out it was a dream, or you were poisoned, or it turns out that was a robot person, or whatever.
You
And
know
it
that that's
wasn't. And
another
that
that's a
that
good point you just made though, is the Chibnall era felt like it was really cribbing from the RTD era.
oh yeah, oh absolutely it was.
Yeah.
And then RTD was cribbing from himself
Yeah.
when he
Oh,
came back.
oh my gosh. Yeah. But I mean, what does he do? He destroys Gallifrey again, which was like,
Right.
what are we doing? And
He did
then,
it. That's the second time he did it. Yeah.
yeah, and then I was kind of ticked off at that because of the 50th, and I really enjoyed the 50th, and
Oh,
um,
it pissed me off. That did piss
yeah,
me off. Like,
yeah,
what
yeah.
are you doing?
And then we do this timeless child stuff that, like, I, I don't know how I feel about it to this day. It doesn't like destroy Doctor Who for me because it's done lots of crazy, things with the character, and obviously, when you watch all the Hartnells, they're not Time Lords yet or anything like that. Like I can
Right.
deal with
Of course.
that. And
Of course.
canon is something that really can kill a show, and I prefer things like The Simpsons where you can kind of keep it a little loose. But
But at the same time, you don't want to get to an episode where Maggie is 12.
yeah, exactly. And
It's a cartoon. It can do that. It
yeah,
can, you know.
but I didn't
So
I
so
didn't I didn't think the whole, Tecteun and whatever, I just didn't think it worked for me. And you can, say what you want about that. Um it just I didn't see the point in it. I felt like it was a gimmick. And I felt bad because again, we shouldn't have to do gimmicks. This is an all new Doctor Who. Like, let's give it some.
again, I hate to bring up the dirty word again of a certain movie, but I'm watching that stuff in Chibnall and going, what are you doing? Like why is anybody in the room to go, I don't think this is a good idea. And let me tell you why this is a bad idea. Let me tell you what you're doing. Like, this is not going to be remembered fondly, or you're going to irritate, the thing that you already set up, or, or at the end of the day too, because that's the thing when we're talking about the alienation for me of a certain fan base, and I've never seen people talk this way, but B, my hang up with where it went is just shitty writing. I mean,
Yeah,
that's what
I,
I
I
don't.
think that has a lot to do
Absolute
with it.
shit
And
writing.
Jodie Whittaker's tenure for me was strange because when Graham and what was his grandson's name?
Billy.
No, it wasn't Billy. Graham, and I know it. Dean and I always joke about
Yep.
it.
Yep.
Anyways, when those two left, I found the show harder to watch because Yaz was a nothing burger character, And then they brought on this guy, this
Oh, that guy! I forgot about that guy.
the guy who sounded like he had a mousetrap on his tongue. Like I don't,
We talked about him once. Like
yeah,
there are people. See, there are people from the region where he's from that don't know what he's saying.
yeah.
They
And
don't
it
understand
was like, well,
what he's talking about.
this will help. Like, and like I grew up with people from the UK. I have an ear for it. I'm not, I grew up watching British television shows. I'm half from the UK. But I was like, no, that's really a hard
Somebody,
listen.
if anyone's listening with skills, someone needs to do a top 10 list of the most infuriating accents in new Doctor Who from 2005 forward. And I'll bet you he tops the list every time.
Yeah, well, it's
It's just,
because
what
I
are you
didn't.
talking about?
Yeah,
And
and
also, I'm sorry, he wasn't good. Beyond that, like I know people loved Captain Jack, who's now a dirty word. Can't That poor guy was ruined too. You can't talk about him. But Captain Jack, um, I didn't hate the character. I didn't like that again that needle would come off the record because I would be like, oh my god, it's like is he doing a stage performance of the show or his rhythm was just
yeah, you
always
know
kind of
what? I've been
off.
re. Oh, by the way, I'm actually setting up to rewatch Torchwood this summer. Um,
Well, now see, now I'll just say quickly, I watched all of it. There were moments in I think the first two seasons were like, yeah, that's okay or that's pretty good. I think the best thing it ever did is that
Children.
miniseries.
Yeah, yeah, no,
Yeah.
I don't have to rewatch it to know that was like where it peaked because after that, I think they did that American Showtime thing that was really
Oh, I think I tried
that
watching
was
that
such a
too.
compelling concept that like was way too long and you know the RTD kind of easy button answer, which
But the
he's a frustrating man because he can write something really good or really lazy, I think at times. And
but the whole show again from the top down, like when it showed up. I know it's a new show; it's trying to find its feet, but I don't think it knew what it wanted to be. I don't think there was no show bible to say this is where we're going, this is what the
right.
structure of these people are, what this does. It was all over the place, and
Yeah.
it was like this. It was supposed to be like 5 cent pitch. It was supposed to be like an X File style, this
Yeah.
organization we've heard
Set in the
about them
Doctor
forever,
Who, set in the Hooniverse.
set in the universe and whatever. So, but yeah, but and I now that you talk about his writing, he has done good things. And prior to the show coming back, actually without even knowing it was coming back, I had a Region Two copy of Queer as Folk, the show they did back in the '99 or 2000 or something. Great show, very ahead of its time.
Yeah.
It's a sin is pretty good. It omits a lot of great stuff that people that sort of a certain contingent that got ignored for what was going on in the '80s that should have been in the show. But there's some pretty good stuff in it. And then I also watched prior to Eccleston showing up. I found a copy of The Second Coming. The first thing he did with Davis, which was a guy who says or something happens where it's like, well, he is the return of Jesus, and that's
Oh, yeah.
who Eccleston was playing, and it was quite good. It was really interesting. So by the time the show came, I'm like, yeah, I'm ready for this. I know who this guy is, because there's a character in Queer as Folk, the lead character, who's a Doctor Who fan, and he's on a date one night, and he's getting nervous and asks the guy, you got to start asking me certain questions because like, okay, you want to know who all the doctors are in order from Doctor Who? Okay, and then there were a couple other scenes throughout that series, including like a K9 gift of like a radio controlled K9. I went, this guy must be Doctor Who fan,
Yeah.
the guy who wrote this.
Yeah.
Um, so I was all on board, and of course Eccleston and everything else. So just like that, I had known Jodie Whittaker's work. I wasn't like, oh my God, she's the greatest, but it was like, I know that's
She was really
a
good in
good choice.
Broadchurch.
I was very excited about Shuti Gatwa because
Yeah.
um, I only finished the first two seasons of
Sex education.
technology or whatever,
Yeah.
sex education. By a third one, by the time I got there, I went, I don't care anymore about any of these stupid people. But the first two, and I would always say to people like, there's a guy in it that is the hands down the best thing in the show, and it was him. So when Shuti Gatwa got announced, I was like, yeah, this is a great choice. He's going to be fun. And of course, everybody has their notion of like, what would I know this guy's work. What's he going to bring? What's he going to do? Like, he was someone like I suppose Capaldi and certainly Eccleston, where I had a certain background to other performances. Whereas Tennant, I'd seen one thing, and Matt Smith, I'd seen nothing. Jodie, I think I can't remember what I saw her in. The one with Venus, I think the one with Peter O'Toole, and it was one of the last things he did. He might have gotten nominated for that even. I can't remember if Broadchurch was prior. I think it was prior to it. It's Broadchurch.
That's where I knew her from, and I thought she was.
So that was before.
I thought she was
Yeah,
an actress that had credibility. I enjoyed her performance.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, she was great.
Mhm.
She's a very good actor. She's absolutely a very good actor.
And I got to be honest with you, when she appeared in Doctor Who recently, I was like, oh, that's nice. She should get a little more, and
And when she reappeared, it felt like it was like she was driving past the studio, and somebody called her and said, "Hey, have you got 20 minutes?" Yeah. Well, I guess. What do you mean you want to? Yeah, we just need. We got an outfit here for you. We need you to run in, put it on, say a couple things, and then you can go back to go get some groceries, whatever you were doing. Like, okay. I mean, it seemed like she had no idea what she was doing there, what she was saying, anything that was going on. It was just like, it was almost like it was green screen.
He's another, yeah. But I just look. It didn't look great, but I kind of enjoyed the idea of those two interacting.
Oh
Because
yeah, no,
they
absolutely.
were robbed of a regeneration in a way through the gimmick of the bi-generation, which will just.
So let's get started. Get started. So back to Whitaker. We talked about this when it happened. Maybe we didn't watch it at the same time, but I watched the finale, and as I'm the careful fellow that I am, I reached out to you and said, "Have you seen it yet?" And I don't remember if you had or you were about to, or whatever. I didn't spoil it.
I think at that point,
wow,
you were my barometer for when Doctor Who was on, because during the Whitaker period, I just kind of again faded out of it. Coming in and out,
yeah, I
like I
remember
think
that.
my friend Corey said something called I can't remember. They had some sort of thing, and a lot of my friends were saying this is feels like Doctor Who again, and I was like, that's
I
sad.
think I might have said, yeah. So I might have said to you, just all you really need to do is watch the finale.
Hmm.
Because you'll, and that also had, um, everybody,
Mm.
Colin and Peter and
And I will say, I
Larry.
thought it was again, it was her caves of Androzani.
No, but seriously, if you love this property
Yeah,
as much as we do, regardless of how you felt about her era, if that didn't get you, warm and fuzzy and
oh yeah, no, I thought it was
absolutely,
fantastic. Yeah, no,
yeah. That's why I pushed you to watch it. I'm like, you got to watch it. And
yeah,
then when the climax happened, and it was Tennant, it was one of those what
yeah.
WTF.
I smartly viewed it as a gimmick for the 60th anniversary. Um, I
But again, because we're those people, we want the best, and we're hopeful, like you said, looking forward to.
oh
You
sure,
know, we're thinking in terms of, okay, wow, that really threw me, knocked the wind out of me. What the hell's going on? And then you kind of thought, but man, I don't know what it means. I can't wait to see what it means because they have got this thing wrapped up and figured out, and it's going to be tighter than a duck's butt. They know exactly what they're doing. And then it
okay.
shows
I've
up.
never ever heard tighter than a duck's butt.
Well,
Is that is
there
that
you
is
go.
that a, is that a Minnesota? Uh,
I don't know where I got that, but I've been
Okay.
saying it for years. But
Uh,
it means like a duck is like, like waterproof. It's got a tight
wow.
little butt, and it's.
I've never spent
Uh,
much time thinking about that.
but uh, and then it shows up, and I knew we were in trouble from the Davros thing, the comic relief Davros thing. 'Cause I thought maybe
I
it was just
wasn't really thrilled about that. But again, Doctor Who's about change. I just didn't think his reasoning for that was weird because there's so many
no, no, no,
disabled
no, no,
folks who
no.
cosplay as Davros. And
You're being kind. His reasoning for that wasn't weird. It was insane.
yeah, no, that's what yeah, it's just
Insane.
it was a little like
Like now you're making it a thing. You're literally trying. You're making it a thing by saying what you just said
yeah.
that no
I
one
have
has ever thought or
I
said.
do have a little theory about him. I think I've shared it with you that I think he was really rooting for Chibnall during the Whitaker era. I think he was really excited about it. I really do. And then he got on the internet and he read the comments and during like COVID or whatever, and it broke him. Um, because he was fighting with people that didn't exist, in comment after comment. And it's like, just look, dude, we're there. We accept it. And we're not fighting you on these things. Make a show, please, that we like. You know?
See, I think
Um,
once again, probably because you're Canadian,
yeah.
I think you're being. I think you're being kind.
Well, good.
I think. I think RTD from the moment he said I'll do it wasn't like I have to save Doctor Who. It was fanfare, excitement. Let's and it's a job. It's like nothing he really did after had remotely the impact
Okay.
that this
Yeah,
got.
that's okay. I have to accept that
Okay,
there's also
and
like
also the other one.
uh,
The other
oh,
one too was it called Year by Year or Year after Year or Year by Year? Did you watch that one? That kind of
no.
went into the future, and it was
Mm,
good. It was pretty good. It was pretty good, but nobody cared.
yeah. Well,
Nobody cared.
I mean, my God, how many movies and books have been written about somebody who's like got to return to something that they feel is beneath them, but it's the only thing that actually they're famous for. And so, yeah, it's very possible that there's like a little bit of,
And then I
and
think
I think it
he,
shows it, your exhibit A would be some of the freaking laziness that I saw. And I don't, we'll get through ups and downs of this, but there's a lot of stuff that like, yeah, I've been here. We've done this. You
I
wrote this and I cheered, but you just wrote it again.
and I think the next thing he did, being in Great Britain, he probably opened the window from the second floor, yelled out to the street urchins below, "Hey boys!" Threw them some coins and said,
A bag of indiscriminate coins.
a bag of indiscriminate coins.
Yes.
Go down, go down to the high school playground or the high school outdoor area or the park or whatever. Tell me what the kids are talking about. Take copious notes and then come back. I need them for my next project. And from the moment he came back, it was this machine gun of stupidity, of things that were just that anytime you start going, well, the thing I wrote 20 years ago, I would never do that today. You'd never do that now, and start, demeaning or sort of,
Yeah,
saying your own
he
words.
always had that side to him where he would be almost like controversial on purpose, a little pithy, a little,
Oh,
yeah.
absolutely he
Like
did.
I
Absolutely he
remember
did.
he said something once and I was like, "Oh, I don't think I cared for that." Like it was early on where he's like, "I want the Autons to return, but don't make them look like they used to." And it was like they actually were like one of Doctor Who's creepier. Like there's not a lot you'd have to do with them, and it was just that odd. Like, why did he say it like
Well,
that?
I think he was. I think he was a little schizophrenic even from the beginning. and then Moffat maybe embraced the history a little more. But even from the beginning, it was kind of like, it is the show. It was, there is a history. We're going to start with the Autons, and there's a Dalek. We finally got that wrapped up, so we're definitely going to have a Dalek story. Maybe they'll come back, and that I think that's the TARDIS, the basic kind of. He kind of was back and forth on how much to embrace and how much to go. Nope, farting. Little
Yeah, and
little
I mean, but I mean, those shows also were able to create new nemesises, and so I didn't really mind this re
Oh no,
world
I
building.
wasn't.
Yeah,
Yeah, I wasn't expecting a nostalgia fest of like all these creatures are going to come back or anything like that. He was, it's a great. I think I sent this to you a couple months back. I was watching one of the Blu-rays. I think it was maybe a documentary on Terry Nation or a documentary on. And yes, I was with a lady at the time. She wanted to watch something, classic Doctor Who. So,
yeah,
or
yeah.
maybe it was a documentary on Philip Hinchcliffe, something. But they had a shot from the archives of this letter that Philip Hinchcliffe sent to Terry Nation, who had maybe it was, maybe it was Genesis. I forget.
Must
But
have been.
but Terry Nation hadn't written a Who in a while, and so he had a few little things he wanted to kind of note to Terry Nation. So one of them that was the most important was that the character of the Doctor drives everything. He is at the center of the story, the center of the information, the scenes that he's in. That's the most important thing. And what he was saying was, the draft you wrote, you kind of minimize the character. He's not the protagonist anymore. And it was just, but the way he wrote it was so beautifully succinct. And I thought
Yeah,
I sent it to you. I took a picture and
yeah, I
sent it
think
to
you
you.
did.
And I'm like,
I'm
there
a
you go.
huge fan of Philip Hinchcliffe. So yeah, I'm positive I read that when you
And
said
so
it.
it just, as the show went on and on, it was like, yeah, this is, the Doctor's less and less
I
important.
always felt
The
that
show's
that
called
also might have
Doctor
had to
Who.
do with Terry Nation's um, uh, wanting to like create uh, characters he can exploit. You know?
Oh, probably,
Yeah.
probably. But I'm just saying, as a thing that you go, well, there's a the best, maybe one of the top three producers the show ever had, and that's the thinking.
Yeah. No,
That's what
I think he
here's
got
the
that.
brief
He likely got that from Barry Letts.
from. Yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly, exactly. And it was like, this is we don't, the show can do anything, can go anywhere depending on the budget, but these are some of the hard fast rules.
Yeah.
And again, shows and things and properties, they can bend and they can evolve, and you can go, oh, I didn't know he could do that, that's interesting, or whatever, of course. But if you take it too far away from what made it great in the first place,
Yeah.
a concept, an idea, etc. So that's what starts to happen with this stuff. And when Tennant came back, and I was looking forward to this, like, because not because of Tennant,
Yeah.
not because of Tennant, but because of, like, what is the mystery? What
Yeah.
is this going to
Oh
be?
yeah, and I'd also been seeing an RTD, and this is something I want to talk more about. There's been a couple of times where I felt like he got that from a Marvel comic, a Doctor Who Marvel comic. Um, and he
Well,
just
he
go,
got he got he got the he got the finale of this last season from a Marvel show.
mm.
You know, the
Oh no,
Wishmaster
I
guy
want
who's
I
like,
look. There's two things he really cribs from: Marvel comics and Doctor Who Marvel comics. But I think Marvel comics more than anything. But he's cribbed a couple of ideas. I felt like you remember the episode where they introduced the Master, and it's the guy from the Harry Potter films, an older guy.
no, this is
This Tennant.
oh, Tennis,
Yeah.
Derek Jacobi.
Yeah, Derek Jacobi. Thank you.
Yeah,
And that's such a wonderful reveal. And I watched that recently
oh, it's great,
after they
so
revealed the
great.
Ronnie, and I'm like, no, those two episodes, because I think it's a three-parter. The third episode is exactly what I don't like about Russell T Davies, but the first two episodes are exactly what I do like about him, but he created incredible tension. He created that master thing was an amazing reveal, and it didn't.
You're talking. You're still talking about the Tenant one that I'm
Yeah,
thinking
yeah.
of, right?
But that
Oh yeah, yeah,
episode,
yeah,
they
yeah.
have creatures in there that definitely were taken out of a Doctor Who comic that I read. Like I remember going
Okay, I don't
like
remember. Okay,
this one was definitely the like taking that story with the Meep was, he was admitting it. He was taking it this time. Um,
right. But now keep in mind, one of the things he said repeatedly before this thing came back, over and over again. This tells you it's just a job. It's just a shit ton of money that he's being given. He doesn't care. He's got things he wants to, messaging he wants to get in, all of that stuff, of course, but he doesn't care. He doesn't give a shit about this stuff anymore. It's a job, and he's trying to be relevant. Because the first thing he said, and he said it over and over again, was, it's like a brand new show. You're not going to have to know anything from the past. It's not nostalgic. We're not going to bring into it. It is going to be a brand new show. It's starting fresh, blah, 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 blah. And you'd hear it and go, well, you're starting with David Tennant. You're bringing him back.
yeah.
So this kind of doesn't add up.
And it's
And then
like
you see,
insane info dump right in the first.
and then you go, okay, so there's a Dalek in the comic relief thing, but you went and said, there's a Dalek with a guy in the comic relief thing with David Tennant. And I had to read online who it was. Like, well, who was the guy? Like, well, that's the new Davros. Like, what? And
Yeah.
then he had to explain why. Then Tennant comes back. Then he comes back with the Meep, and you're like, well, what the fuck? And so it was like that throughout the whole thing too. Like, you're not going to need to know anything about the history.
I always assumed he'd
Other
met
than
as soon as Judy Gatwa arrived, because there was just too much backstory for this other thing to even, and when you really think about it, the Ruby Sunday intro episode is really kind of the rebootish part of it, right? Like I
I guess
that's
so,
the
but
way I saw it. I felt like the 60th
you've
special.
also just left us the prior episode. You've left us with, okay, so there's two doctors now. One is living in London doing gardening, hanging
Oh,
out with John's
yeah,
family,
and
and the
is
other one
yeah,
is
the other
barely going
one
to
is
be in the
perfect
show.
now.
And you're
See?
launching with an episode called Space Baby.
Yeah,
Okay, just to make sure.
but please let's just go backwards before we get to the wonderful space
All right,
babies. Um,
sorry.
I liked the Meep episode as a special Doctor Who episode. It was nostalgic. I even really liked the idea that, Donna's daughter would have Doctor Who energy. Like that felt organically written to me. Like it was like, oh, that's a good idea. I loved that.
Really,
And
really.
I did because it was like, you know what? I just didn't. It's that I didn't really love the Dr. Donna to begin with, but that didn't bother me. Like it did.
Oh no,
And
I see. I thought you're taking the Dr. Donna, which was a shit idea to begin with,
oh yeah,
and you're multiplying it by more shit.
but
You're
it
making
ended
it
the
more shit.
dilemma of getting rid of Donna's head burning, and like for me, I was like, you know what? I like happy endings. Okay, and it's an end to an era that was, super popular. I didn't think it was a great 60th. I didn't think it had a lot of retrospective. And then we get to the middle episode, which and I want to also say that this was weird that they were on Disney Plus and there was no other Doctor Who on there. Like it was
There's that.
like
There's that.
who's tuning
You
into
had
this, you know?
you had to go to BritBox to see the original show. You had
Yeah.
to go to Max to find free Gatwa, and then you went to Disney Plus for Gatwa Forward.
I have to go to Prime to get the new show, and I think it cuts off before Whitaker, or like I think it ends at Capaldi, and so I do not even get to revisit Jodie Whittaker right now, which is
But
like,
see, right away, like you're again. I'm surprised, and I'm not being critical. I'm surprised that you were so about the Doctor Donna, because again, Tennant comes back.
I just thought it was a
Donna,
logical like idea
Donna,
to add to the
but
story.
Tennant doesn't do anything. He doesn't do anything as the Doctor. The character doesn't do anything. It's given over to two other characters to save the day. And it happened over and over and over again. And the reason I talked about the companions, from the start of this thing was, it's all led to this, where the Doctor doesn't matter anymore. He's not the most important thing on the show. He's not there to save the day. He's not to be the most clever one in the room. Everyone else gets to be.
I think what you're seeing is this bizarre, like, and I'm not sure I'm on board for the Hooniverse, just because it does feel like we're setting up a universe within Doctor Who, and that's why there was less less about the celebrating 60 years of the series and more about let's show units new space pad and all the unit
Oh God,
officers and
we could just do an hour on the unit
yeah,
plot and all
and I
the
just it's
staff,
so
how
I
easy it
mean
is to get a job at unit.
yeah, and like, to be honest with you, like, I mean, the Tennant was a doctor for three specials again, and the middle one is very odd to me, and I guess the whole point of it is just to set up that he's let gods out, which I am not on board with. And then we get to the giggle. Starts out, I thought, as an amazing premise. Like, I was really interested in it. Um, Neil Patrick Harris is sort of doing the Music Meister from Batman Brave and the Bold. And
He's doing Meister Burgermeister, for God's sake.
yeah, and I'm not sure how I felt about that, because I liked the idea of the Celestial Toymaker coming back, but then when he started kind of talking about gods and magic, I was like, my feelings about magic and stuff. I find it's where lazy story writing comes from, and then you're handing it to Russell T. I've got chip crumbs on my chest, and I'm like, oh no. Uh, so then we get By Generation, and then we get Magic Two Tardises, and I'm still like, well, this guy has a lot of fun and energy. Um, let's see where this goes. I mean, I like it. I'm on board. Let's see him. And
You're being so much nicer. You really.
well,
I don't know if
you were not okay with Shurigatwa in that bit because he's only in there for like what 10-15 minutes,
like it's
and
like it's like clang 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 goes the trolley. It's like this. What are we doing?
well, yeah, but I mean,
like
Neil Patrick
you
Harris is
know
the villain. Like, everybody's kind of
it's pantomime.
there.
You know what it reminds me? We talk about it reminding us of John Nathan Turner. It's
Yeah,
the pantomime thing. It's the
yeah.
campy pantomime
Happiness
tongue in
Patrol.
Happiness Patrol, just crap that I'm like, nope, not good enough, not even close to being good enough. And I can tell already with Gatwa, if this is where you're going, if this is what this Doctor's going to be, you're doing a disservice to the actor and to the fan base. And we'll just get to it. We'll get to the crux of it here. If you ask me to describe the Whitaker Doctor or the Gatwa Doctor, I don't know how I would describe them. Characteristics, anything significant. And at least Whitaker had an outfit that was fairly consistent. It just felt like
Something that, like, Pertwee changed outfits all the time, but they were always kind of that Edwardian style.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. No, you're talking about accessories, not
yeah.
not that he didn't show up in a biker jacket one day. He looked like Baker changed coat. I mean, you can't do that. Of course, Baker changed coats and out. Of course, that's not the same
One
thing.
thing that I will say
Baker
is
didn't
that
show up in a gimp outfit.
yeah. Well, no, what that one thing I will say is that I didn't wonder where the frick the doctor got that outfit from with the other ones. I was like, oh, they went to a thrift store, or, they have a special tailor, but like this was getting into costume territory with him.
It was getting into this isn't Doctor Who. This is now it's a it's a weekly adventure show. It's like, or a weekly whatever the hell it was supposed to be. But it wasn't one of the things. Again, if you built a little Bible of, let's say, the top 5 things or 10 things about the character of the show or whatever, there's a reason. It reminds me of how everything has kind of gone to shit. Like there was a story I saw not long ago where it was about iconic images, not image. What am I saying? What do you call a shadow image, or like an outline, or a silhouette, a silhouette. And if someone said, here's the name of the artist, make a little silhouette or a trademarky thing for them over here, you can draw it, and I should be able to go, oh, Mick Jagger, like the lightning bolt for Bowie. You go, oh, Bowie, Madonna, like the bustier, with the cones,
Oh yeah.
like all these little things that were so, branded kind of, that are so iconic that you're able to go, no, that's definitely, this person or whatever. Like it wasn't a gimmick. It just was kind of like, oh, so that hat, Boy George wore a hat like that for sure, or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, as one of the
There's nothing
BBC designers said, that Christopher Eccleston had to cut a shape. She said, like it had to
Yes,
be.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So there's nothing, sadly, and I don't know why this has happened. I'm not saying all new music or music of the last 10 or 15 years is crap. Of course not. But there's no more, like, there's no bands, there's no distinctions, there's no styles where you go, oh, that guy's a goth. He's definitely into goth stuff.
Well,
He's
that that
you
that,
know,
that
more
to
than
me
like,
is because we have now, you and I and everyone, when we grew up, we could only get, 10% of the iceberg of music, and now we just have
no,
so many styles and ideas. And
I think it could be, but Noel Gallagher said something even a couple years ago before they even announced a reunion for Oasis. When people would ask him, he'd say, "No, I understand why people want this, and I look. I'm not saying anything. I'm not, like I'm not saying never, but I'm not going to, it is what it is. No plans." But he'd always say, "Well, I sit back and watch and go, where's the new Oasis? Where's the band that's going to come around?" And so here when they reunite, it becomes the biggest tour of the year. Just insane. I mean, I saw them live a couple times. They were fine. They're a good live band. They don't talk or do anything. They're just whatever. And I was part of that whole scene of, like, paying attention to what they do. And I still love Noel Gallagher and stuff that he's done. But he's right. Where's the next stadium filling band? Bands have kind of gone away. You have to hunt for them. It's harder for them. It's become a personality thing of just a few faces and a few voices, and most of it kind of sounds similar. So you're right. There's more out there, and you got to dig for it. My point is about the silhouette thing is, like, Godwin never had any kind of. He never got like he never got revved up enough to go, okay, here comes the personality. So this is who he is. So this is what his thing is. It was just like, a guy and his friend going on vacation. That's kind of what the show felt like. And you're like, what is his character? What is he
yeah,
about?
I did kind of.
Other than crying. Other than crying, literally all but one episode he cries in.
Did he?
Which is, yes, yes, I kept a tally. All but
No,
like one
no.
episode.
I think I was the 1 millionth guy to make the Doctor Boohoo joke. Um, yeah, that was a really strange, like, thing where he just, I didn't understand why he would use it in every episode.
Because
Uh,
it's shitty storytelling. It's bad
well,
storytelling.
that's the biggest problem with it. Is
I
it?
just need to know that Got with Doctor is sad and has felt something from what the scene that just happened, or the death, or whatever it is. I should know in what he's saying. I mean, I think about some of the heights of other doctors and these moments and these great. I mean, Doctor Who isn't really known as a show with great speeches that you can cite, one of the dozen best ever. But that one, the Zygon one
Oh
with
yeah.
Clara and Capaldi, I mean, that is like the show at its best.
Mm.
What he's saying, what that's about, and like, he's angry, but he's sad at the same time. So Got with the cry, and maybe that was his go-to thing because that's all he had. Godwin knew at a young age, like, hey, by the way, I can cry in 10 seconds. Just let me know. I don't know, but it seems it's just bad writing. You're doing it every time.
I
I
will
get
say
it.
that the thing that
Feels
drove me
things.
the thing that drove me nuts about him was that they just didn't. He was so underwritten, just like Whitaker was, but like it just didn't make any sense to me. Who he was, just happy guy, best friend, and
That's what I'm saying.
there was
That's what I'm saying.
they weren't
There's
giving
no
him
character.
anything to deal with. He was just this
No.
best friend that, and it's like I don't know. They just didn't like. I understand that if you read into the logic of the RTD thing, this is like the doctor who's been on vacation for 20 years. So he's worked out all his issues and all his problems. So, but then it's like, well, then he's kind of boring in a
He's
way.
boring. He's boring. The guy. We don't need him to be the guy that comes to the party and says, "Hey everyone, I'm kind of bummed out. Been dealing with some stuff." Well, you also don't want like every time you come like, God, this guy's got no depth. I mean, that
And
pissed me off too. The whole you've taken on trauma, David Tennant. You've been, you've carried it so long. Now
I felt that was more
don't
symbolic of the series than anything else. Like, we're
I think
retiring
it was
old Doctor Who.
I literally think it was Davis going, these kids today, they got lots of trauma and lots of things, and they're all kind of being pulled in all directions, and everybody, they've got safe spaces and all this stuff. It makes the show toothless. It makes it wrapped in bubble wrap. So it's like, this doctor feels. Oh, so none of the others did. None of the others did ever. But this one really feels. And then the next dumb step is, well, how are we going to show it? We got it. Well, he's going to cry. He's going to cry every time. And that's how you're going to know he feels. And also, that's another thing he went back on, this baggage, this heaviness, this thing you've been carrying, and it's all good now. It came up all the time and got with 2 seasons. It came up, well,
Yeah,
it turns out I'm a Time Lord. Oh, what are they like? Well, there's none left. They're all dead.
yeah,
Oh, well, that's kind of a bummer.
yeah.
You
That's
kind of
super bummer.
moved on, and he cried and everything was sad and the universe was going to end with Sutek and it was all his fault and
Well, here's
you
here's the
know
thing. I
I'm
stumbled
not
through.
even getting to the dumb little asides like going into a monitor to watch Pyramids of Mars, one of the greatest stories in the history of the show, and having taking time for the character to say, "What's all that Egyptian stuff?" and the lead doctor to say, character to say, "It's called a cultural appropriation."
Yeah,
That's when you start to cringe. That's when your shoulders go up and you go, it's it's not what necessarily what you're saying, which it is, and I hate. It's the
yeah. Then
way
you
that
could have said that's just
you're not even a good enough
colonialism.
writer. You're not even a good enough writer to write it in a way to say, well, if you don't know, there was a time, believe it or not, where people would go over to Egypt and do blah blah blah. But
Yeah.
just this kind of then, if you're just going to do that, don't even mention it. You don't even
Well,
need to
yeah.
mention
It
it.
was
Don't
ham-fisted, and it was actually slightly,
ham-fisted.
and it was slightly incorrect because it's more or less colonialism. They just came over and took their stuff. Um, and
Yeah, you just go, oh God, did he just say that? Like, and I'm not even going to do it again, but I could list a dozen other
oh, we
little
don't have
moments
to go there. Like, I mean, even in Space
but
Babies.
you know what I mean.
Oh
You know
yeah,
what I mean.
no, it's, and I'm able to mainly because I think that a lot of RTD's programs did a lot of good when they were very well written to promote characters and identities that
Not
I think
anymore.
yeah,
Talk to
I understand that, but what I'm trying to say is fiction is a great thing for building empathy in people. And in well-written fiction, you can love a character. And if that character is different from you, that it just all goes to show you like you can grow empathy
yeah, but
through fiction. It
it
needs to
needs
be
to
done well,
be
and he was good at
if we're
doing
going to
it
go there,
well.
you just go all that really needed to happen after a certain amount of time that things changed and eras changed and people got more sensible and
Yeah,
regarding, let's say, sexuality or whatever,
sure. Yeah.
like jokes about hello sailor. I mean, that's been going on in theater since the dawn of time. And theater, tends to add to that, and winking at each other and so on, and being camp and things like that. We all know it's been going on forever. Nobody got, but everybody had to be very, very careful. And then time went on, and things got a little better here, a little better there, and then all of a sudden, all it takes is a network sitcom like Will and Grace,
Oh, sure.
or that chunk of the country to go, you know what? They're kind of fun. They're just like us,
Sure.
or whatever.
Yeah.
And it was done well, and it wasn't condescending, and it wasn't, that's all it takes. So I understand messaging. I really do.
Oh, yeah.
And
What I'm trying to
that
say is so does he. So did he.
Well, he doesn't though. He doesn't.
No.
He hits you over the head with it. That's
Oh,
not a
and then basically says, you got a problem with that? Don't watch the show. And you're like,
exactly.
well,
Yeah.
there's a middle
And
ground.
which is just a dumb thing to say. Like,
Oh, yeah, no, that's what I mean. I feel like he during COVID, he was just trolling people and getting madder and madder, and
and I have to
and I
say,
think he's fighting people that don't watch the frickin' show, and if they do watch the show, they want to hate review it. And
anybody who's, but here's the thing, I gotta say this: anybody who's hateful regarding any of these things, that's where your head is. That's the kind of video you want to make, or whatever.
yeah.
In other words, you're hateful of the thing that's being messaged, not the messaging. You have to separate those. Like,
Yeah.
if you're like, ooh, God, oh, the doctor now is, maybe he kissed a boy. Well, that's your hang up, and you got to deal with it, or whatever. That's different. And I've got to be careful not to say, like, well, you're a bad person. Well, you gotta process it your way, if that's who you are, whatever. If you're hateful, that's a real problem. But over here is the messaging. When you push too hard, and you really try, and it's like, oh my God, it's like a neon sign, like, to the point where you're going, I bet I know what's going to happen in this one. I bet I know what this character is going to be. Like the one with the boyfriend, and I don't even know the name of the new companion that lasted 5 minutes, but the boyfriend who is clearly a douchebag.
That episode is so, and that episode has so many plot problems. Yeah.
Like written by a 12-year-old.
Well, and that's the thing we were both talking about. Like, the episode that introduces the new character, Chandra. Is her name Chandra?
Chandra, that sounds right.
I mean, I think that's her last name. Anyway, I didn't mind her as much as you did, but
no.
that episode is so convoluted.
To be clear, she was in Andor both seasons.
Oh, okay.
And she was great.
Yeah, no,
great.
I didn't mind her. What I meant is you didn't like the way her character was written. You kind of found her a miserable person, whereas I looked at it and went,
miserable.
But she's also been thrust into this, so I get it. It's a little bit of a Tegan thing, but that episode is so convoluted. And I personally felt the aesthetic of the big toy robots and rockets going against whatever the veracity. Like, I felt it killed the stakes of the story a little bit, but to each their own. But the big reveal of the guy, he didn't spend any time on that dude, and just say he's an incel, it's like, well, that isn't a satisfying thing.
You want someone to be there to tap him on the shoulder to say, I know what you're doing, and how hard you're bludgeoning. B, I don't think you even understand what you're writing or saying or terminology. Do you know what the word means? He wouldn't have a girlfriend if he was an incel.
Well, yeah, there's a lot of that going on, and also, like, it's
brushing is just like, oh my God, you don't even know. You don't even. He's just like like I said, he sent a kid to the playground and like, get me some terms, bring him back. I gotta put him in the show.
So he wasn't like John Hughes, where he was like creeping on kids in the mall food court, picking up, writing down what they were saying.
Yeah, I mean, you couldn't say that now in an interview, that's for sure. But
I mean, he was actually legitimately researching. But
he was. as
Yeah.
far as I know, I don't think he ever picked anybody up.
I wish I had been around him with earshot because like he would have thought kids used words like Tommy gun and sock garters.
Yeah, I would have made it more colorful too.
Yeah.
But it again, it's like it's bad messaging is
Thick
the point of
messaging.
like we always joke about, like, an old episode of Dragnet with a hippie or like a black person, and what Joe Friday said. I think he meant it to be a
Dearly.
compliment, but it kind of sounds like, what did you just say?
Yeah,
Like,
good,
you know,
good. You know what? Just look for those '60s dragnets, and you'll find something
and
that's
that's what
that's
this is
well
starting to feel
intentioned
like.
and terrible.
Oh my God, what is he doing? Like, he doesn't know how to write anymore. He doesn't remotely know how to write. I thought the dialogue overall in this, I mean, we
Yeah,
already talked. But when Tennant came back and the second Tennant one, I'll give you, I liked, because it was so weird and I didn't know where it was going, and it had some good stuff in it, but that's as far as I'll go. And then Gatwa has a few little moments in the 2 seasons. I don't think he got to do anything. I kind of feel bad in a way that, like, you didn't get to do anything. And I think it was just like everything I read from Davis and everything I kind of heard was, you know, it's Gatwa. It's Shuti. That's it. Like, that's who he was when he came in the office and he did the thing. That's who he is. Now, the argument then becomes, well, wouldn't you say that Tom Baker was kind of, Tom Baker, that the doctor, and Pertwee kind of Pertwee? Well,
yeah,
kind of. Pertwee was known for comedic stuff. He took
yeah. But
the bull.
but he also was kind of a manly man, a medallion man at
Yes, he
first.
was, but he never really got. I'm saying he never. It wasn't a just come in and be John. Yeah, yeah, you're right. You're right. But he was sort of. I think if he could have done more silly voices throughout it, he would have. Troughton never got to be that big of a clown, and so now he gets to have fun and be kind of clowny and stuff. But this guy, it's just like, just come in and be exactly who you are in the interviews and who you were. And I didn't see any actual, effort or acting. And then at the same time, nothing written for this character. So, I mean, just to kind of wrap up, because as usual, we thought this might have been a 45-minute thing. We've got a lot to talk about and a lot of points to hit. I think it very much sounds like everything I've read and heard, that it's going away. That there's nothing happening the rest of this year. There's no announcements for next year. That Sea Devils thing is happening. Nobody would be nailed down on an answer.
Yeah,
Everything that our
it sounds like a
team
step
now
in the
says.
air. And honestly, I think this was like I understood that he wrote the second season before the first season even aired, and so he didn't. And I felt, and I think you could agree with me that I feel like there was a lot of repetition in there. Um,
Oh, it was just. I
yeah,
mean, I'm having a hard time even remembering what the cartoon character was and what the. I
yeah,
mean,
there was some good ideas in there, and there was a
the
couple of
Neil Patrick
episodes.
Harris with the German accent. I never understood what that was meant to be. I understand maybe you don't want to bring the character back in a kimono or whatever it was.
Yeah, I was like, oh yeah, that
Okay,
makes sense.
okay,
Yeah, yeah.
do something with him. Don't put him in a vest and talk like Scrooge McDuck.
I
That's
think
just
it was
stupid.
basically a Chitty Chitty Bang Bang reference.
Maybe I mean, which is that's not good either. I mean, that's just you know
I felt
yeah
like that was,
yeah.
but
But anyway, so that those were disappointing to me, and the guy was, and I think um, all indications are that it's like Gott was certainly moved on.
oh yeah,
Now he's already been quoted in a recent article that he ran into Matt Smith at
yeah,
Glastonbury, and they had a big convo, and then he went on about how exhausting the part was, and it was
yeah,
so exhausting. So it's like, I think already you can kind of feel that either you're trying to kind of play, spin control or whatever, or maybe Disney kind of said, look, you finished the other one, we're not going to go any further anyway, so let's just do this. The Rose thing, we haven't even gotten to the Rose reveal. I mean, that to me, of all the cheap things
Oh God.
that RTD's ever done,
Yeah.
that takes the cake. That to me is as big a piss take as Luke putting the thing over his shoulder, like, you really think this Rose thing is going to go anywhere? Because the Peter Davison second time thing didn't go anywhere. You know, none of these things that he did went anywhere. And if we were to sit and try to analyze or dissect make sense of those two seasons or certain stories or arcs or what's she called? Mrs. Grandma? What's the one next door? The lady is at the end of every episode.
Mrs. Flood.
Mrs. Bird. Mrs.
Yeah.
Bird.
Mrs. Flood. Because Flood,
I mean,
Rain, and Ronnie.
You told me it was the Ronnie like a year ago.
Yeah.
Somebody had
Well,
figured it
actually,
out.
I was like, I can't be this smart. Like, I can't have cracked this. It's too
And I think it
obvious.
was either you or Alex, because Alex's daughter has really fallen in love with this show.
Yeah.
From quite a few years ago, and I've given him we'll try this one and start with Matt Smith at the 11th hour, and all the suggestions I've made and how they've kind of navigated it. She's loved it. She loved some more than others, for sure. And when the bi-regeneration thing happened with the two Ronnies,
The two Ronnies, oh my God.
Well, there's
Johnny
that.
Corbett and
There's that. And my thing was boy, this is even dumber. You're just making you're showing again it's even dumber than we thought the first time.
Yeah.
But also, immediately, I'm just hear me out. I'm not trying to be like Captain TC, but immediately needling the old lady. Immediately making the old lady the subservient. And
I also just felt it was like tabla.
And I said to him, "You watch. That's gonna be the relationship. It's gonna be, yes, lady, yes, ma'am, yes, my,
Yeah.
she's gonna be doing this." And I'm like, it's stupid, it's campy, it's like, oh no, it isn't. Oh yes, it is. And pantomime and stuff. And he said, no, I don't think they wouldn't do that. I said, I'll bet you anything. That's what it's going to be. And that's exactly what it was. And then we built up this whole time, and then you have the bi thing, and you get a new one who's a well-known actress, and then she gets eaten. It's the schizophrenia again of like, you've got to be so careful.
But wasn't it great to see the Omega, the Spirit Halloween skeleton?
I mean, I thought of this, speaking of Poltergeist, I thought of this big skeleton that comes through the closet door in Poltergeist.
Not the remake, though.
But it was like, well, why couldn't you just have Sutek? Why couldn't you already used the guy's voice? Are you that cheap you don't want to pay him again? And two, why can't you either use the classic helmet or a reboot of something? What are you doing? Like, I really think he had no plan. He had no idea.
And
just
can
wanted
we
to
just talk about like how he said this was you wouldn't need to know Doctor Who, and then filled it with callbacks.
Yep, loaded with callbacks.
Like so many callbacks. It's like I don't even understand. Like this is more than he's ever done before, and it's just strange. It doesn't go with what he was saying at all.
Well, it's either you know exactly what you're doing, and you're going, well, watch this will piss them off. Yeah, you don't need to know anything. And then a week later, Sutek, or I don't know what, but it's bad any which way you slice it. It's bad storytelling. So here's the question. Here's the $1 million question. Let's say for somehow it's hanging on by its fingernails and it's going to keep going. Okay. I think it's gone. I think it's gone. And I think good riddance. It's time. It had a great run. They did it to themselves. I hope
it's an IP, though. Yeah, it's never going away forever.
No, but I don't know if it'll be, 2 years from now, here comes a new thing or whatever. But the question becomes, I firmly believe that if you put people in place, for the most part, that love the thing that they've been handed, you will get the best product. Now, that is not a sure thing. Take a look at the new Halloween trilogy, if you will. Uh, you know, like
I was on board for the first one. That second one, though, oh boy.
oh, I walked out of the third one. I've walked out of two movies in my life. I couldn't take it. Okay,
I don't
so
know.
it's not.
Oh, the third one. Yeah, actually, I felt that was better than the second one, but I
Oh, it
still
was
was like, I wouldn't want to be a giant
abysmal,
fan of this.
abysmal. But anyway, the point is that obviously it's not a sure thing. When somebody says, "Well, I
Yeah.
love this. I know this better than," but for the most part, you can feel it in properties when the where the love is coming from, when the right person has it, and you get the best result. Now, uh, I mentioned Andor with this actress that's in both seasons. I can't think of her name. I'm sorry, but um, I think that I mean I don't think you've seen much of it or any of it or whatever. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. The point is, I again, if you said to me, what would you like to see in the Disney Plus? But I wouldn't say a guy from the Rogue One thing and make a thing. But as soon as I read years ago that Tony Gilroy was going to be part of this, I went, oh, okay, that could be interesting, man. That could be just knowing this guy's work. I thought, well, it's not going to suck. It may not be it may be this or that or whatever, but it's not going to suck. And then you have the first season, which was brilliant. But not to a lot of people that like Star Wars. They were very much like, I don't think it's kind of quiet, takes time. You're like, where are the lightsabers? And nobody says Jedi or whatever. They're all they want is Jedi, 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 Jedi for everything and anything. And it didn't really start to build up again. It didn't really start to build up until before the second season came back, which was instead of 1 year of a story, they realized we're never going to make this a 5-year show. It was just too big. So we're going to do a time jump every 3 episodes, a time jump a year. And so the second season is truncated. So it's 24 hours of television. Anyway, Tony Gilroy saw Star Wars when it came out. He saw The Empire Strikes Back, and then kind of lost touch with Star Wars. He's not a Star Wars guy. He doesn't know the mythologies. He doesn't know the histories or whatever. He knows what he was given. And what he was given was a show about a guy and his robot. That's what the show was going to be, for every episode. And he said, you could really do something cool with this, like on fascism and people joining clubs and, how wars start and whatever. And I think in a way, not being glued or chained to Star Wars was to the benefit of the show. You got a better show.
Mm-hmm.
So the question is, if it comes back in a few years, or let's say it stays or whatever, do you think it should be handled by somebody who loves and knows the show really well, or it should be someone who's kind of a casual observer but a great storyteller?
I
Which
think
would you
it
kind
should
of
be handled by somebody who actually has good, like, fresh ideas for it.
Yeah,
Um,
I agree.
and
I agree.
I don't want those ideas to be based in anything but let's do this with it, not, any kind of like agenda but like I'm just in. Um, I've always been in with Doctor Who, and it is something that
Sure.
changes, and I'm very happy. I've got literally a lifetime of Doctor Who to watch, and if there's new ones I like, that's even better. But
Well, it
yeah,
kind of reminds me of what I would say to people at Comic Con when things really started to turn, more women and little girls were. I mean, like we joke about, like,
oh yeah,
if I saw you at a convention when I was like 14, I think maybe you got lost. You're in
yeah,
the wrong place. It really started to build, and I'd say if you walk around this floor and you can't find something to fly your flag with, like something that you can get into, you're not looking hard enough.
yeah,
So with Doctor Who, that's kind of the beauty of Doctor Who is you've got so much. I mean, I'll say to people if they get into it, like I met someone the other day who had just finished the Matt Smith era and was moving on to Capaldi, and I said, "Do you know much about the Plaid?" He's like, "Never, nothing, or whatever." And I said, "Oh my God, I'm so jealous that
yeah.
you've got so much ahead of you to either enjoy or not or whatever, but there's plenty there. That's the beauty of it, you know."
Yeah. So, whether it's future, I can't control anything. It'll live on in something, comics, books,
Wait, wait,
animation.
you can't control anything? You have
No,
no
I
quality?
don't have powers. No.
What the hell are we doing talking about this? But what do
I
you think
don't
this
know.
was last?
I don't know. No, I don't know.
How
I'm
are you going to
just an
get back
ordinary
up there?
man. An ordinary man.
So
If you shoot me, I will bleed.
you think it would be better if it were fresh eyes that like know enough that they're not going in blind and
Well,
have no idea.
what I would like it to like what I just want to say is that like I would like it to remain the same animal it is. But being a science fiction show, not a fantasy show, but obviously there's some fantastical elements to it. Um, and still remain the Doctor as being, Time Lord character, time machine, other people, adventures. But if there's, something somebody wants to do, I don't care who the Doctor is. Um, but I just want to see the show live on. I mean, I'm at that point where I guess you get sentimental in your autumn years, but um, I'm very, I'm very happy with the
I think
show, and I just like to see it succeed.
well,
Um,
you're happy with the concept of the show and what the
well, yeah,
show
yeah,
is.
but I mean, like, even if it's not for me, if I, eventually I start watching and go, well, it's good, but I don't really care about it anymore. That's fine. But I just haven't felt like it's being like this just didn't feel like a sincere attempt, and it's a shame because all the toys, like the budget and the actors and
Yes, that
everything was
David Tennant
there.
and this new guy who everybody knew from another show who
Yeah,
wasn't a total unknown. And
yeah,
it's absolutely, you're right.
yeah,
That's the crime. What's really
yeah,
sad is that this should have. I mean, I don't know about. I mean, like again, you think, oh, gee, I wonder how Tennant's going to be, and then you finally see that first photo, and you go, okay, so he's got a little bit of a mod kind of thing going on with the suit and the coat
yeah,
and the.
yeah, yeah.
He's
But
wearing sneakers,
I
whatever.
just can't. I can tolerate a lot of cringe if I'm enjoying what I'm watching. If I feel like it's good and fun and
Yeah, it's a
there's just
beige
there
thing.
just
Call
was it
it
was
beige.
such a half-heartedly written effort, and
Yeah,
there was a
but
lot
I
of
think
good ideas, weird executions. Yeah,
yeah, but I think of him, and I think you know if anybody could have done something fun with this character, with this incarnation, it would. And well, no, I mean
oh,
Gatwa.
it
I'm
got well,
saying,
yeah,
I mean, he
yeah.
should have been like,
Like sure is a
yeah,
charming dude and likable as hell.
oh yeah, oh yeah. And I
And
think
I
he'll go do great stuff. He'll continue to
yeah,
go on to do
yeah.
great stuff.
It
And
just kind of
it was squandered. It was
yeah,
really squandered.
yeah.
And
It's tough. It's a tough one.
so if it
Anyway.
goes away, you know, look, it's
Yeah,
given a lot of.
I don't think it's going to be gone for long, but maybe it'll be gone a long enough time for us to miss it, and
Yeah.
that's an okay
But
thing too.
having said that, if it does come back, if it's not gone, I will watch every episode they give me.
Oh yeah,
I will
oh
absolutely.
sure, yeah.
It's going to be what it's going
I
to
love
be.
Billie Piper. I can't imagine she'd be the Doctor. I feel like that was a gimmick, and it's sort of like when they kill off people at the end of they end a show on a cliffhanger, hoping they get renewed. Um,
Yeah, exactly,
Yeah,
exactly.
that's where I kind of thought he was going with that, so I don't really take it all that seriously. Um, but it is in a strange place, and hey, I still love it. But you
Hey,
know,
listen, I'm still holding out for that second Buckaroo Banzai film.
uh, yeah, you do that.
Still time. I still believe.
Oh yeah, but only if you have the original cast. They could still pull it off. The Crime Syndicate, wasn't that it? The World Crime Syndicate.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Some
yeah.
crime overlord or something, the crime syndicate or whatever.
I
Yeah,
was just watching something on Buckaroo Banzai last night, but that's another story.
that's
I got
next
to go to
show.
bed, sir. So,
All right, man.
with that
This is
ado,
fun.
this has been fun, and we will come back in August, I swear.
We will. Our lives depend on.
And
Thanks,
we'll
everybody.
do more
Thanks.
grandpa complaints.
And listen. No. I'm not having that. I'm not having that at all. No way. Because I'm the guy who gets shit from guys like you for liking Stranger Things.
Ah,
So I'm not.
yeah.
Okay. I'm
I
not
didn't
having.
say I was
If you,
perfect.
if you give me something good,
Yeah,
I don't care if it's new and who the characters are, whatever. I'll take it. It has nothing to do with turn down your music or clouds. No, you're
pull up
gonna.
your pants, young man. I'm going.
I'm the one without kids. I'm the one
Yeah,
who
yeah.
still like thinks he's 21 years old, kind of. So,
Yeah.
having said that, if anything we said, it's all in love of the show.
Oh, sure.
No, there's no hate. There's no anger or anything like that. It's just I think we should be comfortable enough to be able to say when we don't like something and
Sure.
why we don't. And
Well, yeah,
that's
that's
all it is.
why we decided to do this. We wanted to come out and say, this is when you don't like something. It's a
Yeah.
rare discussion these days. Um,
Yeah, it's true. There's a lot to choose. So
yeah, and,
thank
and
you,
and if
Brian.
you guys love it, great. Tell us why. I'm good with that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
please do. And thank you, Brian, for putting this together. And
Oh yeah, I'm excited.
great to talk to you. We'll do this again very soon.
Sounds good, man. Take care. And
Thanks.
thank you, everybody.
Cheers.